Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our discussion today, where we'll be talking about business continuity and disaster recovery, or BCDR, as it's more commonly known as, with Metallic Data Management as a Service plus Azure. And today, I'm very lucky to be joined by, we all are actually, with David Totten. David, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yeah, you bet. I'm the Chief Technology Officer here for our U.S. Partners business. Actually, I'm doing two jobs now. I'm also the Vice President of our ISV business here in the United States. And obviously, Commvault and Microsoft have had a long-standing relationship. And I just love the innovation that's coming out of the Metallic Group.
Great. Thank you so much. And I'm David Ngo. I am CTO of Metallic at Commvault. I've been with Commvault for 24 years and have been fortunate to spend just about all of that time working with Microsoft and with David on a variety of solutions and how we can help protect and safeguard our customers' data together. And so this is really a very pertinent topic today, I think. What is modern BCDR? What does that mean? I think with the adoption of SaaS technologies like Dynamics 365 and Microsoft 365, and using Azure cloud resources, PaaS and IaaS resources, that the nature of threats have really changed, right? The data center has been modernized. People have accelerated their move to the cloud and adopting new technology. And now they don't have to worry about things like data center disaster or hardware failing or things of that nature. But at the same time, new threats have kind of emerged, right? The threat vectors have changed. Cybersecurity is probably the number one thing on everyone's minds. Ransomware and malware, and of course, the thing that people don't really like to talk about because it's so hard to defend against is malicious insider. And that goes beyond just kind of a disgruntled employee to supply chain attacks, which are really scary and insidious, right? And the cybersecurity threat is only broadened by the fact that engaging these different services kind of creates some data silos, because you have some data in a SaaS service, you might have data on premises. Most companies I talk to, are looking at a hybrid deployment, at least for the near future, in terms of having some resources on premises, some in the cloud. And this is creating some management complexity. This is really compounded by the challenge of finding and training and keeping great resources, right? Your people are your greatest asset. And having those people available, there's always a pressure to do more with less. And that's just kind of a constant of doing business. But especially in today's environment, what we see is that customers are really under a ton of pressure to develop expertise in all of these areas, while still trying to maintain their day-to-day operation. David, what have you seen in this area?
Yeah, I mean, I love that you highlighted right away supply chain ransomware attacks. We've seen more of those in the past 2 years than we've seen in the history of IT. And the reason why is because obviously the number one trusted asset for any organization is the customers and the relationships they have. They're not allowed just to go down or lose customer data. This concept of how much people are interacting with data and endpoints and different applications creates this amazing vector of applications that all work together and intertwine this huge web, but it also enables a lot more threat vectors to come from the bad actors out there.
This is, I think, where we really together saw a great opportunity to help our customers, right? By taking the best of Microsoft technology and its cloud platforms, in particular here, Azure, and combining that with Commvault's best of class technology that we've developed together really over the past 20 plus years, that's proven to be performant and secure and scalable in the enterprise. Combining those technologies and really tapping into the scale and performance of Azure to deliver modern BCDR. I think together, the first thing is unmatched data security and protection. This is not just from the Azure perspective, also from what Metallic can provide from an air-gapped, immutable backup service, right? Protecting data to Azure and leveraging really, core Azure assets like Azure Blob that's really highly performant, very secure. On top of that, we layer things like our secure architectures and functionality like our AI and ML anomaly and threat detection, as well as Metallic ThreatWise, which we'll talk about a little bit later, for cyber deception and early warning. and things like our multi-layered security model that's built on zero trust. And really I think the best validation of our approach to security is that we're the only FedRAMP high ready data management as a service solution with those 421 controls. I'm very familiar with that exact number. Again, built on Azure Government Cloud, right? I mean, a fantastic combination of our technologies. Yeah. And then being able to, and addressing kind of the that resource gap by being able to manage assets wherever your data lives, on premises, in the cloud, in a SaaS service, from a single platform. Metallic doesn't just protect one or two services. We really have a very broad capability of support for on-prem workloads, enterprise scale workloads, as well as things in the cloud, like say Azure Blob Storage, right? Azure VMs, and some cool stuff that's coming up soon as well. And then delivering this capability in a way that companies want to consume technology today, which is SaaS. And that's what our partnership has been built on from the beginning, right? Is trust. We've had a strategic partnership for more than 20 years. A couple years ago with Metallic, we extended it even further to really drive joint innovation for our customers. And we're really committed to doing this together, right? I think the commitment that we've shown together in bringing these innovative solutions to market is kind of remarkable. I've been lucky to be part of it for so long. But being built on Azure, on that bedrock that you mentioned, has been key to us, right? And accelerating customers' journeys to Azure and to the cloud in general, to SaaS services is really important. What have you seen in our relationship over that time?
Again, we've talked about this. Commvault's been built on Microsoft technology stack for a long time. Helped us really deliver the on-prem experience of our products when we started launching more productivity services and database engines. And now as we move into this hybrid world with virtual machines and IaaS, you've been there along that journey for us. And now as we do pure on platform as a service and applications and data as a service, you guys are right there with us every step of the way. We actually are a huge consumer of Commvault, and I think sometimes we sort of don't talk about that enough. Like, if you're a platform company and you make software, you sort of think to yourself, well, like Microsoft, you probably have some data backup, you probably have some data management as a service. We do. It's called Commvault. We have an entire platform of Xbox Live users that we back up and store all that data in Commvault's Metallic application. We've got our entire Office product group that we leverage and store data within. Our entire Azure data protection scheme is built around Commvault and Metallic. So, don't take it from me, as a builder, take it from me as an end consumer of the Commvault technology stack. And again, I think that just speaks to the trusted relationship that we have with one another and the joint commitment we have to ensure that we do instill this confidence with our mutual customers.
There are really three critical use cases that we typically see with customers moving to the cloud. And really those use cases are what modern BCDR has to address, right? There is on-premises data for customers who are working in a hybrid environment. And then the second one is, once you make that move to Azure, how do you continue to protect that critical data without having to do a significant kind of disruption of your operations and procedures? And then for SaaS applications, how do you participate and fulfill your responsibilities in that shared responsibility model when leveraging a SaaS application and continuing to have responsibility for your data, right? Those are the real main use cases that we address with Metallic. And that basis of Azure allowing us to manage all of these scenarios through a single pane of glass with one platform just has huge benefits for our customers.
Yeah, and I mean, again, my perspective is really skewed, and obviously I'm biased. I think the innovations we have in cloud compute, scale, and security and technology is exceptional. Yet there's still a very small portion of workloads that are actually powered by the cloud. We still have a lot of on-premise infrastructure. And by the way, Microsoft makes a pretty good penny on the on-premises investments that companies are making. And I understand, hey, I want it, I need it, it's where I gotta be, and I understand this trust factor that IT directors and CISOs, feel if they have the box in front of them, that they can make sure that they can manage everything that goes in and goes out. What we've seen over the past couple of years, COVID was an absolute terrible global pandemic, but it also accelerated the need to have access to information and distribution and supply chain and product development wherever you are. I mean, I'm working right now out of a WeWork with this weird piece of art behind me, and I have my entire enterprise experience right here on my laptop because everything I do is based on a SaaS operating model. And so we know customers are going to be still on premises for some workloads. They haven't figured that out yet, that I can do it better, bigger, faster, more efficiently if I leverage a cloud-based operating model. So we know there's going to be some workloads there. We also know that customers are starting to get savvy and they're starting to figure out, hey, there's got to be a better way to, there's got to be a better mousetrap out there. And let me see if I can leverage certain workloads in the cloud. And I think that's what makes the Metallic offering so very, very specific. So the fact that I think the number one use case for any IT director out there to figure out, above all else, is going to be business continuity and disaster recovery. Like, that's the number one thing you got to figure out. And so to be able to do that with ease of implementation, plus maintain that confidence and security on the SaaS offer, is just like the perfect stick your toe on the diving board and see. You'll see the cloud's not that bad. The cloud can help you in the grand scheme of things. And so I think that's what really has driven the popularity and obviously the extension of Metallic as a product. Is I think you've laid out the three primary use cases, but I also think that we're breaking through to a lot of CIOs or CISOs or IT directors, particularly in the SMB and mid-market area, that are sort of looking around and saying, like, hey, wait a sec, what is my business continuity plan? Where is my data being stored? How do I have security around that information? And Microsoft, I get this question all the time. Well, wait, Microsoft Azure doesn't do backup and doesn't do disaster recovery? Of course we do. What we don't do is pull in all those services to a single pane of glass that has an end-to-end continuity from hybrid to cloud-based environments with third-party applications. And that's where Commvault comes in to really help us shore up the full data estate that can be accessed through Azure.
Yeah, you mentioned security a number of times, and we've talked about security throughout our discussion here, again, as one of the critical things. And if we look at it, basing Metallic on Azure gave us one of the most secure platforms that's available there, right? It gave us the basis on which we built all of our other security measures and guardrails and controls. We've built on top of that we've got our ISO 27001 compliance and our SOC 2 Type 2 compliance. We talked about FedRAMP on Azure Government. We have GDPR capabilities with data residency that's powered by Azure data centers around the world, right? Giving us that presence that we need to satisfy not only European residency requirements, but US and Canadian and Australian and in Asia. Like, we have presence all around the world that's enabled by Azure, which has been absolutely fantastic. We have all of our layered security controls on top of it are built on zero trust that secure the service itself. Then, of course, we have the other part, which is the air gap, right? Which really gives us the ability to isolate our services and the data we've protected from any attackers that may have breached a customer's environment in the first place, right? And that security domain separation is just so critical. We even provide a Metallic Recovery Reserve, which is managed Azure storage, right, for data protection, and that provides even administrative level separation, subscription level separation of responsibility and security from customers' environments to the data protection environment. And of course, we'll talk about ThreatWise in a minute. But what are some of the newest investments or innovations in security, David, that Azure's provided that we leverage or that we can take advantage of?
Well, just think in terms of what we talked about at the very beginning, right? 200 plus physical data centers, all SOC compliance, all HIPAA compliant, FedRAMP that we talked about earlier. Government agencies need to think about capturing and transferring data between agencies and applications. Microsoft is the most robust and compliant, scalable cloud infrastructure on the planet. You can quote me on that, okay? And I think whatever the next innovation of compliance or regulatory requirements are, I feel very confident, 100% confident that Microsoft will be there and it will be enabled and accessible with our platform within a short time span. But then delivering that same set of confidence and that same structure to our customers is where Metallic really comes into play.
And really, that we're talking about how we complement each other in functionality and technology, I think continues directly to ThreatWise, right? So ThreatWise being our latest innovation in security, which provides for not only early ransomware detection, but also some obfuscation and protection of your assets, right? So there is, when you're talking about security breaches, and I hate to talk about security breaches, but we kind of have to in this day and age, right? There is some magic time between the time that you have a breach in your security environment, your domain, and the time that you detect and mitigate that breach, right? And in that time period, it's very critical, because the first thing that any intruder does is they do some exploration or kind of surveying or surveillance of assets, what's out there, what's important, what databases are out there or services are out there that contain critical data. And that's where ThreatWise comes in, right? By having the capability to deploy assets that look like production assets in a very fast and easy manner, very lightweight and scalable, being able to deploy thousands of traps that should never be touched, right? They are never touched in normal operation. Should those be touched in any way, that's an immediate flag for anomalous or unusual or malicious activity, whether it's someone from externally who's breached your environment, or it's an administrator who's decided, hey, you know what? Let me kind of take a look around and see what I can find if there's something else that I might be able to poke at that's managed on behalf of our customers, that's not in their subscriptions. That takes away all the threat vectors from the customer side, right? There's not even an administrative way to get to that data. We provide an easy ramp onto the cloud for customers who are on premises just trying out cloud at first, or for those who have moved workloads to the cloud and want that separation of responsibility. We handle all of key management. Our customers never even get the key information. It's all handled securely and preserved. It's been something that's been extremely attractive to our customers, and takes the best of Azure storage capabilities, really layers on, like you said, kind of that last mile of capability to make it fully complete. On the whole portfolio of Commvault technology, right, you've been working with our software and our appliance capabilities for a very long time, and now layering Metallic on top of that, having it all work together, and really giving our customers that option of selecting how they want to consume our technologies is super important. And we have our intelligent data services, which I think, again, so well complements the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform, right? How do you see that? How have you seen that working in the past, and how does that map as Microsoft moves ahead with the Intelligent Data Platform?
I mean, just how we think about it from our perspective is why we call it the Intelligent Data Platform, is because it does actually fully integrate across all of those services: database, your analytics engine, your reporting and metrics, data governance, our Purview product on taxonomy management. What we're trying to do is put all of these assets and different scope of information technology out there and develop this common core set of services that then obviously will drive productivity and innovation for customers, right? We don't just produce a bunch of technology that we think looks cool. To a customer, though, there's a lot of moving parts. There's just a lot of moving parts. And for Metallic to be able to offer a solution throughout that journey for the single pane of glass, the single set of controls, the easy to access, install, have a governance model around, it just makes it so much easier for customers to consume through the back end, through the app layer, through our analytics engines, and then provide that as a service, just managed within the cloud infrastructure. I think it's a great benefit.
It's amazing. And so, for anyone who wants to learn more or to try out the solutions that we have today, come to metallic.io/Microsoft. We have a ton of materials there that really lay out in more detail everything that David and I have been talking about today. You can sign up for a free trial as well. David, I'd like to thank you for your time today and your amazing insights. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to work with you and to have a discussion with you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today on the webinar. Really appreciate your time.
Go protect your data. Go do it.
Thank you so much.